Welcome back. This is Randy back in the shop again. Today we're starting another project, something a little bit different. I haven't shown any coverage of it before. It's for a friend of mine's car. He's putting a turbocharged 6-liter LS in a 1970 Chevy Monte Carlo. And let me swing it around and show you what we got. What we have here is we have a 4L80E, and it's the later model one. It's out of a 2006 Chevy 3/4 ton van. And the desirable ones that you want, it's got the rear cooler line going in right here. This feeds your center support. Because on the earlier model ones, there was a problem with lube oil at the back of the transmission. And he brought this to me to have me rebuild it. He's going to put that in the Monte Carlo. We're going to be pulling the thing completely apart, inspecting it, putting new parts in, and this transmission normally requires a controller to operate it, but what we're going to do is I'm going to install a manual valve body. That way he'll have no need for anything electronic going to it. There's companies out there that sell those. So I'm going to put the camera back on the stand here, and we're going to flip this thing pan side up, and we're going to start taking it apart. Be right back. Also, when you do one of these projects, get yourself a muffin tin like this here to put all your nuts and bolts and whatever, check balls, whatever in it as you take the thing apart. This has got a 10mm socket, so let me grab one. I'll be right back. All right. Yeah, you're definitely going to have to replace this transmission pan. This pan is all smashed on the bottom. Oh well, not a big deal. First thing we're going to take out of here is the wire harness. Solenoids are all broke from it getting smashed, the pan getting smashed. That's all smashed too. Well, let me get 8mm socket here. I'll just take that manifold off of there. Right back. These transmissions share a lot of similarities to a Turbo 400. It's just got a 4th clutch in it. Now I gotta get this plug out of here. Let me see what I gotta do here a second. I'll be right back. It's got these little locking tabs here. The plug does. A little locking tab here and here and here. You just squeeze those together and take a screwdriver on the inside of the case and lightly pry up against this part, and it pops right out. Now we'll get the rest of these bolts out and take the valve body off. Flip it over like that there. This is the accumulators are right here. We're not gonna mess with that at this particular time. Set this over on the bench over here. And let's see here. Pull this piston out. This is the apply piston for your braking band for second gear. And this is the apply piston here for your low and reverse. Let me get a rag here and get a big channel out. Be right back. It's a two-piece. It's got an inner piston and an outer piston with a spring on it here, and this pin pushes on a big band down at the bottom of the transmission here. Now what we'll do is take all these check balls out. Throw those in a pan over here. I think that's all of them. Looks like it. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand this back up, get all this fluid out of here, and then this piece has got to come off. This is your lever for your park paw. This is your park paw right here. It pushes in and it locks the output shaft. That's what engages your park. This has to come off. You have to take the output shaft housing off. Let me get a couple more wrenches and some sockets here, and I will be back. Okay. What this piece is here on the output shaft, make sure you can see that. Yep. This is for your yoke, your rear yoke. Your rear yoke slides on here like this here, and it'll slide up in there. It's got an O-ring on the inside of it to seal it, seal the outside of the yoke that way, because the yokes have a plug in the back side of them here, and sometimes these plugs will leak, so they put this piece on there to keep that from happening. And one thing you got to watch for with these brackets here, at least on the older 400, these brackets will fit both ways. So will this one actually. And if you get it on wrong, you will have no park. So that bracket always needs to be faced like this here. It's got a little V shape here, and that needs to push against this part of the paw here. That part of the lever. So this little paw right here engages your output drive. Let me swing in a little closer so you can see what I'm talking about. this is your output shaft right here that I'm turning, and this is your park paw, and this comes up against there like this here. It's spring loaded, and it holds. That's what engages your park, that right there. And a lot of times you'll hear, if a car is not completely stopped and the person goes and throws it in park, you hear this loud ratcheting noise. Well, what it is it's this drum ratcheting on this paw here. I've actually seen people come in, and they've had this broke, or they'll end up breaking the case because they're too much in a hurry. They don't wait for the car to stop rolling, and they shove it in park, and that's the result. Okay, now let's see here. Pull this little nail out here. This is your manual shift lever. This pin here connects to the manual valve in the valve body, and they've got a little nail here that locates this in place to keep this from walking all over like that there. The shaft has a little groove in it. Kind of hard to do here with one hand, but see if we can get it. Oh. There we go. When you put that nail in, see, it doesn't move back and forth anymore. There's a nut on the inside here that holds this whole assembly together. And now you can take this linkage out. That there, your manual shift shaft comes out. Here's the little groove I was talking about that nail fits into that limits this side to side movement. Put the nut back on there, put it in the pan, and I believe we're ready to stand this straight up here. Get the drip pan here. Let's drip all over the floor. This was just a core transmission that he bought. It supposedly worked, but the fluid was just real dark in it. I can see that. See that. All right. There's a couple bolts I gotta take out here yet. One in the center for the center support here, and I'm not real sure what this is for. It might be for a fourth clutch housing. Let me get a 12-point socket here and a Torx. All right. bolt there, that feeds your intermediate clutch piston built into the center support. Okay. Now take these oil pump bolts out. And these bolts here will have either a washer with rubber on either side of it. It'd be aluminum washer and it'd be coated with rubber on both sides. Or like this one here. Let me get a pic so you can see it. I got these little O-rings on the bolts to seal the bolts to the pump cover. And this O-ring right here, that's on the input shaft. You need to take that O-ring off to get the pump off, because otherwise you won't be able to get the input shaft through the pump. Let's get a little pick and pick that right out of there. This O-ring is what seals your input shaft in the converter for your converter clutch. If you run a lockup converter. And there'll be bolts in this pump cover here. Should be. Oh, this one don't have any. Huh. Normally there's a hole that has threads in it for pulling the pump out. I have to figure this out. Be right back. There's a hole in the case here. Just pry up with a screwdriver, and then your pump comes right out the front. Just like that there. And then, yep. This is your 4th gear planetary. Here's your planetary gears here. There's going to be a snap ring inside here that you got to release. Actually, just pull the whole 4th clutch housing right out. See, they got this snap ring on it right here, and then these are your 4th clutch plates right here. Let's see if I can get that out of there a second. Snap ring right there. These are 4th clutch plates. You don't really look that bad, not these. All right, let me set these over on the bench over here. Okay, let me move this camera here so you can see what I'm doing. This drum also has a snap ring in it. Just pops out like that there. I'll put this over to keep this all together. Your outer hub, and then you got your inner hub here. These are your clutches in here. It'll have a wave washer down at the bottom, and then you've got 2, 3, 4, 5 clutches. These are wore pretty bad. Yeah, they got a fiber type material on them, and here you can see it's starting to flake off. All the clutch material is starting to flake off. That's pretty much normal when they get a lot of miles on them. There's a piston in this drum here, and when you apply oil to the oil pressure to the back side of it here, it pushes this piston out, which applies your clutch. Oh. There should be a little spacer on there, but I don't see one. There's a thrust washer, thrust bearing. Let me see here if this fits on top of here. Okay. Set this over on the bench over here. Now, your forward drum is down inside of here. I got to get a couple hooks so I can get that dug out of there. I'll be right back. There's your intermediate clutch is right here, and I got this hook piece here that'll hook underneath here like that to lift it up out of there, because there's really not enough room to grab here. Sometimes you can take the clutch plates out and you can grab a hold of this spring and lift it up out of there, but I found it's just as easy to put that hook in there and then just grab it and lift it up out of there. Well, let's do that here a minute. Where are we at here? Yeah. Lift it up out of there like that there. That comes right out. There again, it's got a snap ring in it. This is your pressure plate. And you got more clutch plates in there, like that there. And you got your wave plate. And you got more frictions where the friction material is just coming off. That's just from age. This transmission supposedly still worked. Just that the fluid was dirty in it. So set this over by the rest of the parts. This is your brake band. When you put it in manual low and manual second, that piston that goes in the case right here, that applies this band, which gives you engine braking. If you leave this band out, the transmission will work fine, except you won't have any engine braking. This is your intermediate shaft here. This is your center support down here. This is the output shaft that goes through your rear planetary, and these are your intermediate clutch plates right down here. I'll get those pulled out and I'll be right back. These are your intermediate clutches. When these clutches apply is when the transmission shifts to second. This is the pressure plate again. That looks fine. Set that over here with this. And there's another stamp ring down in the case here that holds the center support in. I'll get that pulled out of here a second. Get a hold of it here. Yep. That there. This is your snap ring that retains the center support. It's got a taper on the outside of it here, on the outside edge, and this taper has got to go up away from the center support, and that way when it expands, it actually helps hold the center support down in the case. And believe I got to take this fitting off the outside of it here. Yep. This cooler line fitting that's right here, that cooler line fitting's got to come off because it's threaded into the case, into the center support. So that's got to come off. Let me get a wrench and I'll get that off there. There we are. Yeah. This is that fitting I was telling you about. And this little nipple here screws right, goes right into the center support. Let me see if that'll come out of there now. Yep. It screws right in there like that. It's got a rubber seal in it there. Got sealing rings here. And this is where your low roller clutch rides on here. That goes there. Keep this all together. And now I'm gonna have to knock this piece off there. Let me do that off camera a minute. Be right back. Also, after you take the center support out, some transmissions will have it, some won't. They'll have this little spacer ring that fits down in the case. If yours has got this, make sure you put this back in. Otherwise, your clearance for your output shaft will be wrong. Now I should be able to just lift this right out of here. It comes out just like that there. Yep. This is that gear I was telling you about that the park paw engages to lock the transmission in park. This is your low and reverse roller clutch. You need to take a look at that, because if any of these rollers, the little springs, those little springs right there will break. So you always want to look at those. A lot of times I'll just put a new low roller clutch in it to begin with. That way you don't have to worry about it. This is your surface here that your low reverse band clamps on. This goes down in here like that. Keep that all together. See if I can just get this out of here. Yep. This is your low reverse band. There's 2 pins that go through the case that lock it right here and right here, and then that servo pin, your low reverse piston pin, pushes on that there, and it clamps on this drum. That's all burnt up too, all black. Get this off here. Yep. There we go. This is a thrust washer spacer that fits down in the case, and this is your thrust bearing. They make selective washers on different thicknesses of these, and that's how you set your end play. So That's pretty much it. As you can see, the case is empty. It's not a big deal. It's basically identical to a Turbo 400, except you got the fourth clutch, which goes up here, and the pump is a little bit different. So anyway, I'll be back. All right, well, that's going to conclude this part. Got still some more inspection to do on the rest of the parts. Need to take the pump apart, look at the intermediate sprag, probably replace that, just because it's a wear part. If the sprag breaks or if it rolls the other direction, you'll lose second gear. Replace the low roller clutch, of course. All new frictions and steels. I gotta work up a price list for him and see what parts I can get, what parts I can't get. And one other thing I want to mention here real quick. These forward and direct drums, they have a stamped steel piston in them that's spot welded together, and you need to replace these because when you up the pump pressure of the transmission, sometimes these pistons here will bend. You'll bend the lip of them up, and then the seal blows out, and then your transmission loses its gears and that kind of stuff. There's places that sell billet pistons, and I got to find out how much those are and that sort of thing. So, but anyway, a little bit of background on that, and I'll get to looking at the rest of the stuff. See what all the bushings and stuff look like. Probably end up putting all new bushings in it and everything like that, which is always a good practice on high mileage stuff, because even though that it may not be wore that much, every little bit it stacks up, and before you know it, you got a lot of wear. So I'll be bringing you along for the rest of that there. Probably be a couple days. And so anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Maybe you can learn a little something from it. A little bit on my background. I worked at an Oldsmobile dealer back in the mid to late 80s. I worked for the dealer for 20 years. Doing heavy repair, engines, transmissions, rear ends, all that kind of stuff. A car come in smashed from the body shop or whatever, if the frame was bent, you know, we'd have to put frames in and all that kind of stuff. So that's where I got my experience at. I was a GM master mechanic and an ASE master technician for 35 years. So I've never really personally dealt with a 4L80E, but from the little bit of reading I did, I got some transmission books here in the shop. It's basically a 400, except it's got a fourth clutch on top of it behind the pump. So nothing super complicated. So but that's going to be it for this one, and we'll see you on the next video. Have a good day, and we'll catch you later. Bye-bye.